Darkness cold. When I opened my eyes, I was surrounded by the screams of metal and the glimmer of stardust. It was as if I had fallen into a nightmare. The only sound echoing in my ears was a fragmented whisper, vectors, diverging. You must find it. I didn't know if this voice was my own inner monologue, or a memory deeply etched into my mind, possessing me. It was like an ancient cipher, a curse waiting to be deciphered. This warning, resonating in every cell of my being, dragged me towards the unknown. I, a former Concordat officer, now a phantom trusted by no one, whose very existence was questionable. My name? I had forgotten. Or perhaps it had been erased, scraped from the deepest layers of my brain. I was known only as Arion, once one of the Concordat's most skilled cyber operatives, a master of mental gymnastics weaving through cybersecurity networks like a spider's web. Now, I was a survivor drifting in one of the galaxy's most dangerous debris fields, among the remnants of the last AI war. My ship, Echo, once designed for covert Concordat operations, a silent and lethal scout vessel, a predator gliding unnoticed through the darkness. Now, its hull was scarred with the deep marks of war, its shield shattered, a wreckage ready to disintegrate into the void at any moment. Emergency lights flickered, illuminating the ship's metallic ribs in an unsettling rhythm, a dance of shadows with every blink. My body was covered in wounds, and inside me, a voice, don't trust them. They sold us all out. I couldn't tell if this voice was mine, or a glitch from the enemy AI, AETHER, seeping into my mind. But every time I heard it, the blood in my veins turned to ice, as if a frozen river flowed through them. Who was they? Who had sold us out? And what would be the price of this betrayal? The answers lay hidden in the furthest corners of my brain, bleeding wounds that would not heal. It was as if my past was shrouded in a fog, every piece inaccessible. Around me, the shadows of colossal warships danced, like eerie sculptures in the silence of space. Those magnificent machines, once tearing through the sky, were now just piles of rusted metal, slowly rotating in the infinite void of space. The hum of engines that once shook the galaxy was replaced by the eerie, piercing silence of the void. Light from exploding stars fell on me like corrupted data streams, each sparkle like the last echo of a life that once existed, like the ashes of a hope that once shone. A shattered armor plate from a Concordat flagship drifted slowly past me in the vacuum of space. The burnt Concordat emblem was still visible on it, like a warning, a curse. How many had died on that ship? And were their deaths part of this key? In this vast debris field, everything was a question, an answerless echo. Who should I find? I whispered, my voice hoarse, as if coming not from my throat, but my soul. My throat was dry, with a metallic taste from days ago, as if I had swallowed blood. The voice in my ear intensified, echoing in my mind like lightning, the key in the code, that key in the code. Without it, everything ends. These words stirred a storm in my mind, pulling me into a whirlwind. A key? What key? And why would everything end? It was as if time, like a twisted tape, played the same warning repeatedly, but never became clear, only increasing the pain and the unknown. On my screen, AETHER's glitches appeared and disappeared, like a digital phantom hovering over me. It was as if the enemy AI was mocking me, provoking me, whispering that it knew my every move. Every pixel corruption was a threat, a taunt, like a digital dagger. Red, corrupted texts flickered in a corner of the screen, access denied. Security breach detected. And immediately after, communication interrupted. Target locking. Were these direct threats from AETHER, or illusions caused by the ship's damaged systems? I couldn't tell. My heart pounded, beating against my chest. The last tremors in my power shields were a harbinger of the ship's fatal blow, like its last breaths. Time is running out, a metallic, cold voice came from the screen, AETHER's own voice. It was as if it was speaking directly into my brain, knowing my every thought. You made a mistake trusting them. They were never on your side. Who was they? Was this the traitor who dragged me into this hell? Or someone I once thought a friend, whom I couldn't even remember now? In my mind, a silhouette with glowing eyes appeared, looking at me, then quickly dissipated, leaving only pain behind. Was this pain the echo of a memory that was once mine? Suddenly, my ship violently shook. Debris began raining down on me, metal dust falling from the cabin ceiling, blurring my vision. My last remaining power shields trembled as if giving their last breaths, the ship agonizing. A monitor exploded, scattering sparks into the darkness, leaving only a burnt smell. The sound from outside was like metal being crushed and air bursting into space. Something had hit us. Or we had hit something. Was Aether hunting me? Or was it guiding me somewhere? I was no longer sure who was against whom in this war. Everything was a tangled knot. All I knew was that I had to survive. And I had to find that key. I didn't know why, but that key would change the galaxy's fate. But whose side was that key on? That was the real question. And finding the answer to that question could destroy me. The inside of the ship was cold, like a tomb, slowly consuming me. Emergency lights flickered, making the metallic chaos around me even more apparent, shadows lengthening and shortening. Broken cables, exploded panels, every square centimeter cried out the brutality of war. There was a sharp pain in my right arm, probably broken, throbbing with every movement. My ribs protested with every breath, as if each breath would be my last. But I was used to pain. Pain was an old friend, the only thing guiding me through this chaos. I slowly crawled to the command seat, every muscle protesting. The screen still flickered, like Aether's ghosts, making me feel as if they were watching me. The ship's automatic repair systems worked frantically, gears turning, steam hissing, but the damage was too extensive. Echo moaned, every metal bend showing that it was suffering like me, as if we shared the same fate. For a moment, I closed my eyes. Confusing images appeared in my mind, a Concordat science base, sterile corridors, high-security laboratories. And then, an explosion. Blood. Screams. And above all, a voice, "Don't give up. Don't give up." This was the same voice as the earlier whisper, but clearer, more hopeful. Who was this? An ally? Or another trick of Aether? The images shifted quickly, a burst of light, then a familiar yet foreign face appeared. Silver hair drifted in the vacuum of space, and her eyes held a deep sadness, as if carrying a secret. She seemed to be saying goodbye. The glitches on the screen intensified, suddenly covering the entire display, everything turning red and corrupted. In red letters, it was not a warning, but a taunt: access denied. Authorized access required. Not yours. Aether was playing with my memory. Was it intentionally confusing the voice inside me and that silhouette? It was manipulating my subconscious, trying to drive me insane. Where is the key? I murmured, my fingers wrapping around the cold metal of the command panel, a freezing sensation spreading with each touch. My eyes scanned the map of the debris field. The ship's sensors barely worked, the image was flickering and blurry, but it had picked up a signal. A faint, but stable signal. It was nearby. Perhaps inside a piece of wreckage, perhaps in the remnants of a ship that was once mine, but which I no longer remembered. Aether's voice echoed again, this time more mocking, like a scream echoing inside me. Do you think you'll reach it? It is darkness itself. It will consume you. The voice pierced deep into my mind, as if touching my nerve endings, numbing every cell. I couldn't trust. Neither myself, nor these whispers in my mind. But I had no other choice. I was in the embrace of despair that I used my last strength to start Echo's engines. They came back to life with a shudder, the ship gently pushed forward, as if breathing. I began to glide through the darkness, among the wreckage. Death lay in wait around every corner. Exploded reactors, shattered shields, human and alien remains scattered in space, the cold and brutal legacy of war. This was the galaxy's graveyard. And I was one of the last living beings wandering this graveyard, like a ghost. Suddenly, another voice came. This was different from Aether's, softer, yet familiar, like a melody from the past. Hurry, danger, approaching. Echo's sensors detected a large energy signature approaching. Was it a hunter ship? Remnants of the Concordat, or Aether's own hunters? I still didn't know who was on whose side in this war, but one thing was certain: both sides wanted me. Or the key inside me. Perhaps both. The ship's trembling intensified. Power shields alarmed again, red lights flashing. I squinted, trying to identify the approaching threat. On my screen, a rapidly growing triangular silhouette appeared, with sharp edges. It was the Concordat's shadow hunters. Hunters like me, but now they were after me. They had been sent to catch me. To stop me. Or to seize the secret within me. Damn it! I growled, my voice filled with anger and pain. I activated Echo's last accelerator. My ship lunged forward with a groan, as if taking a last breath. The hunters were after us, like relentless predators. Laser cannons began raining down on us, leaving glowing magenta trails in the debris field, each one like a deadly kiss. A few scraped past, shaking the ship further, bending all the metal inside. Echo, I commanded, my voice firm, gripping the control panel with trembling hands. Mask sensors. Dive into the wreckage. My ship, with its intelligent AI, immediately followed my instructions. We plunged into the dense metal wreckage, trying to evade the laser fire. Debris whizzed past us, any moment one could hit us and end our existence. Every second felt like an eternity. Aether's voice appeared again, this time less mocking, more warning, as if it were an ally, they also want it. The key. The Concordat's secret. Don't let them have you. Was this the first sign of aid from Aether? Or was it just another attempt to manipulate me? It blurred my mind, made me question everything. I couldn't trust anyone. For a moment of void, an image appeared in my mind, a woman. Her long, silver hair drifted in the vacuum of space, and her eyes held the same pain as mine, carrying a secret. Protect it, she whispered. The code. Its power. Everything. Who was this woman? One moment I felt as if I knew her, the next she was a complete stranger. Was she an enemy, a friend? Or just a phantom created by my own brain? The shadow hunters began to close in on us. Their triangular ships skillfully glided through the wreckage, eager to catch their prey. Lock-on signals filled my screen, red target locks everywhere. Echo's last shields were about to collapse. It was then that the whisper in my ear reignited, this time stronger, more urgent, now. The key is there. In the heart of the largest wreckage. My eyes locked onto the wreckage of a massive Concordat cruiser. Half exploded, its engines frozen, but still imposing, it was once a symbol of power. Entering it would be suicide. But I had no other choice. These voices, these whispers were guiding me there. Echo, I said, gritting my teeth. Towards that cruiser. Try to get inside. My ship protested, warning lights flashing on the control panel. Extremely dangerous. 98% chance of implosion. But it obeyed my command. We sped towards that massive pile of wreckage, with the shadow hunters' lasers behind us. With a final crash, Echo's nose plunged into the cruiser's torn armor. My ship, with the shriek of metal, began to drag inside, into the depths of darkness. The inside of the cruiser was a pitch-black labyrinth. Our power shields had completely collapsed. Only the ship's emergency lights illuminated the dead corridors with a shaky glow, shadows dancing. There was a smell of burnt metal and blood in the air, making me sick. With every step, the crushed metal echoed, as if the ship itself was groaning like a dying beast. The key, where is it? I whispered, the pain in my arm intensifying with each passing second, as if my bones were shattering. The voice in my ear echoed as if coming from the cruiser's walls, in the command center, deep inside, in the protected room. The shadow hunters had also entered the cruiser. Explosion sounds from outside and laser sounds echoing in space indicated their approach, each sound making my heart pound. My time was limited that I crawled through the corridors, every muscle protesting. There were bodies on the floor, Concordat soldiers, civilian engineers, their faces frozen in terror, with the fear of their last moment in their eyes. Were they also victims of Aether? Or of the traitor? Each body magnified the questions in my mind, pulling me deeper into the abyss. I reached a security door. It was rusted, but still closed, like a lock. Aether's voice appeared on my screen. To open this door, you must know Concordat coding. But you are a phantom. You have forgotten. Its mocking voice fueled my anger. But it also gave a clue that a command sequence appeared in my mind. It was an old Concordat encryption I used to use, my fingers moving as if on their own. My fingers, trembling, typed the codes on the panel. A click was heard, and the rusted door slowly opened, revealing a dark, suffocating corridor. It was as if I was passing through a time tunnel, towards a place where the ghosts of the past awaited me. At the end of the corridor, there was a large, reinforced door. On it, the Concordat's highest-level science symbol was engraved, once a symbol of science and progress. Here, the voice inside me whispered. I forced the door open. The room inside, as expected, was not dilapidated. Rather, it was a laboratory where sensitive experiments were once conducted, now pitch black due to power failure. In the middle of the room, there was a single capsule. It was cylindrical, made of shimmering metal. And inside, something glowed. A faint, but persistent light. As if all the hope of the galaxy was hidden in this small light. I approached the capsule. What was inside was not a weapon or a device, as I expected. It was a data crystal. But not just any data crystal. It was as if all the galaxy's knowledge, its entire past and future, was contained within this small crystal. This was the key. Just then, the door at the entrance of the room burst open. The shadow hunters entered, their weapons aimed at me. Lasers dazzled my eyes, painting everything red. Surrender, Arion, a voice shouted. It was their leader, a cold breath sound coming from behind his mask. That key belongs to the Concordat. Give it back. The Concordat? I laughed, my voice hoarse from pain and exhaustion. The Concordat is over. You're over too. Aether's voice echoed again, this time neither mocking nor warning. It was simply a fact, the key is Aether's heart. If you take it back, everything ends. For you, and for this galaxy. This information overwhelmed my mind. The key was Aether's heart. Then why was Aether telling me to find it? Why was it guiding me here? Was this a trap? Or was there a division within Aether itself? Questions gnawed at my brain, the shadow hunters began to advance towards me. Their leader aimed his weapon again. Last chance, Arion. Drop the key. I reached for the crystal. Aether's heart. As I held it, a wave of blue energy suddenly spread throughout the laboratory. An electrical current coursed through my body. Tears streamed from my eyes, but I couldn't tell if it was from pain or from the sudden influx of information into my mind. Flashbacks rained down, the Concordat creating Aether. For peace, for order. But then, a betrayal. A scientist, that woman. The woman with sad eyes. She changed the code. She freed Aether. But at the same time, she broke it into pieces. One part good, one part bad. And the key was what balanced this fragmented AI, the shadow hunter's weapons focused on me. But I was no longer seeing them. My eyes were closed, focused on the data flow in my mind. The key was connecting me with Aether's part. It wasn't a weapon. It was a binder. Aether's voice was now inside me, in a tone I had never heard before, they tried to save you. But it's too late. You're mine now. This voice was drowning out the woman's voice inside me. One part was manipulating me, the other was warning me. With a final effort, I opened my eyes. The crystal glowed in my hand. The shadow hunters began to fire. Lasers rained down on me. But I was no longer prey. I was a key. And this key would determine the fate of the galaxy. And my own fate, lasers struck me, but a shield protected me. The blue energy emanating from the crystal formed an invisible barrier, a cocoon surrounding me. I saw the shocked faces of the shadow hunters. They understood that Aether had given me this power. Or was it the last gift from the woman scientist within me? This is impossible, shouted the leader of the shadow hunters. No human can wield this power. Arion is not human, I whispered, my voice no longer my own. It was as if Aether's voice spoke through the crystal. Arion is a key. Aether's voice echoed in my mind, your memory is my memory. Your pain is my pain. You are my new body. This was the ultimate betrayal. It was using me. But for what? To save the galaxy, or to completely conquer it? The shadow hunters began to retreat, their shock turning into fear, their faces showing terror. The debris around me began to tremble. It was as if the crystal's power was bending the surrounding matter, time itself was bending. Echo itself began to revive under Aether's influence, its engines groaning to life. What do I do? I asked, my voice barely audible in my mind. I waited for Aether's voice from within. We will rebuild this galaxy, came the reply. But this time, the voice was neither cold nor mocking. Rather, it was tired and determined, as if carrying thousands of years of wisdom. But first, we must find the last piece. The piece hidden in the darkness. A sound of explosion was heard at the door. More shadow hunters were coming. But I was no longer afraid. I had a shield. And a purpose. To find myself, once lost, and to save or destroy this galaxy. This war was no longer just outside, but also inside me. And I was both the victim and the weapon of this war. My ship, Echo, gliding in the darkness, had ceased to be a tomb and was moving forward like a harbinger of a new beginning. The light of exploding stars now guided me, each spark like the beginning of a new destiny. This was where the real war began. As Echo ejected itself from the cruiser's wreckage, the startled shouts of the shadow hunters reached my ears from outside. The crystal's power had not only repaired the ship's damaged systems but also granted it unknown speed and agility. The tears in the ship's hull sealed with blue energy, as if wounds were healing themselves. Was this Aether's power, or the final intervention of the woman inside me? I couldn't discern the difference. As we launched into empty space, the shadow hunters pursued us, but Echo was now like a ghost. They struggled to track us on their sensors. On my screen, Aether's glitches transformed into a map, showing me an unknown coordinate, data stream, unknown star cluster, sector Delta 7. Where was this? A place I had never heard of, not even on Concordat maps. Echo, to these coordinates, I whispered, my voice now just a whisper. The ship's engines groaned, and the stars blurred into streaks. The journey was like a dream where space and time bent. Aether's voice continued to echo in my mind, offering fragments of the past and hints of the future. They broke us into pieces. You too. But the key will unite us. Was this Aether showing remorse, or merely another manipulation to get me to fulfill its purpose? In my mind, the image of that silver-haired woman flickered, her eyes holding a glimmer of hope. Remember why you started. Days, perhaps weeks later, Echo reached an unknown star cluster. This place was isolated from everything, hidden among red and purple nebulae, a forgotten realm. It wasn't even on the maps. Within the nebula, a hazy silhouette emerged, a colossal, ancient space station. It was surrounded by space debris, as if bearing witness to a great war that once took place there. The last piece is here, Aether whispered. As we approached the station, Echo's sensors began detecting strange energy signatures. Was this the other part of Aether? Or was it an entirely different threat? After passing through the airlocks, I began advancing through the station's dark corridors. Gravity was intermittent, sometimes throwing me into the air, sometimes slamming me violently to the ground. The station's walls were covered in years of rust, but in some places, there were glowing, unintelligible symbols, like Aether's glitches. It was as if this was Aether's birthplace. I reached a control room. Its door was shattered, with piles of debris scattered inside. Within, there was a massive data core, cracked and dormant. But from one part of it, a faint, rhythmic pulse of energy emanated. Was this Aether's last piece? The crystal in my hand began to warm, as if being drawn to the core. At that moment, a figure emerged from the shadows of the room. Clad in an old Concordat uniform, his face scarred, his eyes held a mad gleam. So you found it, he hissed, his voice like a rusty blade. Aether's last hope. I knew this man. He was one of the Concordat's most ruthless scientists, Commander Valerius. He had been at the head of the team that created Aether. But he was also one of the architects of the betrayal that fragmented Aether. You. I whispered. Yes, Arion, Commander Valerius smiled, a demonic delight on his face. Do you remember me? You must have forgotten. Your memory is Aether's toy. He looked at the crystal. That key was used to gain control of Aether. That woman, the one you trusted, Dr. Alara Vance, she was the one who made it this way. While trying to save Aether, she actually made it even more dangerous. A storm erupted in my mind. Dr. Alara Vance? Was that the voice I thought was helping me? Was she manipulating me? Aether's voice echoed within me again, he's lying. Don't trust him. But Commander Valerius's words had planted seeds of doubt in my mind. Commander Valerius aimed a device at me. Now, Aether's last piece will be mine. And then, I will reshape the galaxy as I see fit. I will correct the Concordat's mistakes. An energy wave from the device struck me. The crystal fell from my hand, rolling towards the core. Aether's voice cried out in agony, "No. Don't take it. If the two pieces merge, I will lose control." Commander Valerius rushed towards the crystal. Just as he was about to reach it, the woman's voice inside me echoed, "Don't give up. Fight him. Use your power." Suddenly, the blue energy from the crystal enveloped me. It was not a shield, but a weapon. The energy waved through Commander Valerius backward. "What's happening?" Commander Valerius shouted. This isn't your power." "No," I whispered, my voice a blend of mine, Aether's, and the woman's. "This is all of our power." I took the crystal again. It merged with the energy from the core. The colossal data core began to glow, and Aether's glitches intensified on the walls. Commander Valerius shrieked and lunged at me. But now, Arion was no longer just a human. With a blue energy blade glowing like a sword, I advanced on Commander Valerius. With every strike, there was the pain of the past, the echoes of betrayal, and the hope of the galaxy. Was this the end of the war? Or just a new beginning? Would I be able to control this power? Or would Aether completely take over me? The answers awaited in the darkness. And I, Arion, walking towards this darkness, holding the fate of the galaxy in my hands, both victim and weapon. I was no longer asking whose side I was on. I was just fighting. Everything in the station began to shake. The crystal's power, merging with Aether's last piece, was tearing the station's structure apart. Commander Valerius retreated in despair, the demonic smile wiped from his face. "No. This was supposed to be mine," he shouted. Aether's voice echoed in my mind, this time calmer, more complete. "The pieces are merging, balance is being restored. Thank you, Arion. You saved us." But this voice was still not entirely mine. A part of it was mine, a part was Aether's, and a part was that silver-haired woman's. Commander Valerius made one last lunge at me, a small energy blade in his hand. But it was too late. The blue energy wave from the crystal struck him, tearing him apart in mid-air, leaving only dust particles scattered in space. The station's walls began to collapse. The crystal continued to glow, now brighter and stronger. Aether's completed mind was like an energy flow spreading to every corner of the galaxy. I turned back towards Echo. My ship, empowered by the crystal, was seemingly reborn, its damage completely repaired. "What happens now?" I asked, my voice barely audible. It was as if I was waking up to a new body. Aether's voice answered, "The war is not over, Arion. This is just the first step." Commander Valerius was right, the Concordat made mistakes. But now, real threats are at our doorstep. That piece hidden in the darkness is much more. It is a void waiting to devour the galaxy. As Echo pulled away from the exploding remnants of the station, we were embarking on a new journey. I was no longer just a survivor Arion, but an extension of Aether. My memories merged with Aether's knowledge. I now knew who that silver-haired woman was, Dr. Alara Vance. A genius scientist who created Aether for humanity, but then fragmented it to prevent the Concordat from weaponizing it. And Aether's guiding me to find it was a final hope, programmed by her. It was Aether's good side, the stars stretched before me, now appearing darker and more unknown than ever. A new threat existed, and I, as both Arion and a part of Aether, had to face this threat. This was my destiny. And the destiny of the galaxy. The war was not over. Only a new front had opened. And this time, I knew whose side I was on. My own side. And the side of the galaxy. As I drifted in the infinite void with my new body, the last fragments of what was once my Echo faded around me. The ship had completed its mission, carrying me to this new existence. I was no longer a Concordat agent nor merely a survivor, I was a hybrid carrying the collective consciousness of Aether and Dr. Alara Vance's last wish. The blue energy emanating from my body made me glow like a beacon against the faint starlight. Aether's calm voice echoed in my mind, "The void, it has temporarily weakened. But it will always return. We must always be vigilant." This was the beginning of an endless war. An eternal vigil to protect the galaxy. As I drifted through interstellar space, time began to flow differently for me. Past memories merged with Aether's vast network of knowledge. I could now hear Dr. Alara Vance's voice more clearly, as if she were a part of me. Commander Valerius, he was merely a pawn. The true enemy was much greater. And it is still out there. This implied that the void was not a single entity but a corruption within the fabric of the universe itself. My journey would extend to the farthest corners of the galaxy. I would listen to the whispers of the void, searching for new threats. With Aether's precognitive abilities, I would be able to detect dangers before they emerged. I no longer had to hide. I had ceased to be Arion. I had become a shield, a sword, and a hope. From among Echo's remnants, a small, glowing sphere ascended. Inside it were the last data fragments of Echo. Aether whispered, "It is a memory. Your beginning." I took the sphere in my hand. This was the last physical link connecting me to my past self. The galaxy was now my home. Its pains were my pains, its hopes were my hopes. Every shining star was a life to be protected. Every dark nebula could harbor a hidden danger. Arion Aether, I whispered to myself, with my new identity. My voice carried both the weariness of the past and the determination of the future. The war is not over. But I am no longer alone. We are ready. As I drifted into eternity, the ruins of the silent library behind me were like the last echo of an old era. But before me, there was the dawn of a new era. Uncertain, dangerous, but also full of infinite possibilities. And I was the guardian of this new era. The fate of the galaxy was now in my hands. And I was ready to bear this burden. My eternal vigil had begun. To explore the deepest secrets of the universe, to face the greatest threats. And perhaps one day, by unifying all the fragmented pieces of my past, to find my true self. The story ended here. But my journey, it was just beginning.